Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be doing a bit of a response video to James Griffiths, who put up a video I think maybe a month or so ago now, which is called I think Unlikely Candidates for Your Favourite Song. Now it's just one of these things, like, you know, like I kind of make a mental note to watch a video, but then other things come up and then you sometimes like can forget. And this is one where I was just scrolling back through like my subscription feeds and then I was like, oh, I meant to watch that video, and I watched it, and funny enough, he actually gave me a bit of a shout out like at the start of that when he said that I was slightly the inspiration behind it after I slated a couple of his favourite like ELO like songs in one of my previous videos. It was interesting, like him saying that like those two were his favourites, like sort of like the tracks which I thought like were just like album filler, you know. So it led James to do this really great video, and I'm going to kind of be following up essentially with like the same idea. So choosing various songs from different artists which are among your favourites. They don't necessarily, I guess, it need to be your absolute favourite, but there's certainly ones which are up there for you, which perhaps people might not expect to be up there. Certainly when you think of both sort of fan favourite songs, like songs about the artist, but also like what were hits as well, like, and like what like kind of like is generally accepted like as like their best like material. So anyway, I'll just get cracking. There's no real structure to this. They aren't in like any order like these here. So my first one is actually a bit of a response back to James. Like he picked a couple of ELO songs. So I believe it was The Jungle and The Whale, both from like Out of the Blue. Said that those were like among his favourites. I don't much care for those, but the one I'm going for an ELO is on Secret Messages, and it's the song Bluebird.
You may think it's for real, but you know.
Which, again, it's always difficult to say, is this my favourite ELO song? Certainly, like, in a discography like as rich as theirs, you know, like, there's a lot of other songs, brilliant songs, like, you could choose to be your favourite, but this would certainly be up there for me, you know. It's a really full kind of track, you know. It's got their kind of... it's got this great chiming, like, sort of 12-string acoustic guitar. I'll assume it's 12-string. It's been overdubbed. It's been overdubbed like to like the hilt though, like if it's not, you know. And it's just a really well-constructed song. Good kind of contrast between these kind of sections where he's when it's slower, but then sections then when it kind of speeds up and there's a real sense of momentum like to like the track. And I think for me personally as well, I've not overheard this unlike perhaps some of their other hits, like, you know, like the ones which Jeff tended to perform live like very often, like, you know, like when like he was kind of like live sort of back when like he was touring kind of like pre-COVID, like there were songs that you'd hear again and again and again. This was never among them, so I think that's for me why it stayed fresh, and I would probably now consider it one of my favourite ELO songs. So that's Bluebird from Secret Messages. Following James still, his next choice was the Beatles, and he chose Martha My Dear, which is a fantastic choice, you know. This was certainly one of my favourites like from the White Album. But what I'm going for is from Revolver, and it's And Your Bird Can Sing.
Tell me that you got everything you want.
For me, has always been a favourite of mine. I just adore the guitar playing on it, especially like that kind of like that dual guitar part, the way the guitar part harmonises like with itself. It's just incredible. And again, it's just a kind of it's not a song which is dated at all, really. You know, it kind of fits right in almost any era, like, you know, like this track. So it's a brilliant song. Again, is it my absolute favourite Beatles song? It's definitely up there for me. It's definitely like a top 5 Beatles song, like absolutely. So yeah, like And Your Bird Can Sing would be the next one. Next up, James chose a track from London Town. He chose Deliver Your Children, which is a very good song, but I'm going for Don't Let It Bring You Down. Certainly one of my favourite Wings tracks. This just a beautiful acoustic song. It's a McCartney Lane co-write, this one here, and this one really develops itself over time and really grows like as a song. Begins very kind of plaintive with very just an acoustic, and kind of McCartney's kind of doing a very kind of low sort of almost like, I think it's like a baritone kind of vocal, you know, like quite low, like in like his register, and then on the second verse it completely changes and he goes right to the top doing a glorious falsetto, and then towards the and then I guess like the song gets going, you get some brilliant kind of Wings 3-part harmonies. Like they'd really honed their craft like as a kind of harmonizing unit, Wings, and that's definitely on show like on this track. And I just think that the lyrics on it are just really good. Like basically, yeah, like what goes like those some things in life are hard to bear. Don't let it bring you down. Should the sands of time run out on you? They're just nice lyrics, which I think mean something. Which is not always can be said for like McCartney's songs. So yeah, Don't Let It Bring You Down. A real favourite of mine from London Town. Okay, now sticking with the solo Beatles, I'd offer this one up as my favourite John Lennon song, which is I Know from the Mind Games album.
And I know just how you feel.
Yeah, this is one which is quite, for me anyway, quite McCartney-esque in its structure, which is possibly why I like it so much. I've always been more of a McCartney fan than a Lennon fan, certainly when it comes to like, their solo career. So with this track, it's one of these, it's made up of kind of a few kind of disparate sections like on it, but I think it works really well. I think Lennon does a great vocal performance on it, and I just like the interaction between the different sections. The kind of like the kind of quiet sort of I know what I've been missing, but now my eyes can see. I put myself in your place, just like you did for me. Something like that goes like the kind of verse, and then you get the kind of I know chorus with this great slide guitar part, and then a bridge with this kind of glorious kind of like sort of harmony vocals on it. It's just great, and I would definitely prefer this to a lot of Lennon's more popular tracks. Certainly the title track, I prefer this song. I probably prefer this to the likes of Imagine and Jealous Guy even. I'd rather hear this than those. So yeah, possibly quite a controversial one there, but that's the point of this video, I suppose. Next up is The Jam. So again, it's very hard to say with The Jam what your favourite song is, because they were such a great singles band, like in particular, they're on a singles and it's just incredible. But I'm going to offer this up as possibly my favourite Jam song. So it's from this like the All More Cons album, and it's the track Fly. Is definitely, I think, at this point in time anyway, this was the third album, 1978, was probably among Weller's most advanced like compositions, like up to like that point. Again, with a really interesting structure, and I think that's kind of something what's kind of creeping in, like with like this video, songs with kind of multiple parts to them, kind of thing. So this one has a very softly sung verse, and some great evocative lines, like the way the sunlight flits across your skirt makes me think I'm from another world. Kind of goes like the verse, and then there's and then it goes through so many different kind of changes and kind of cycles like as it goes on. It's just a fantastic track, and yeah, has always been a favourite of mine, like by The Jam. Definitely mine. I'd say my favourite like on this album for sure, although it is a pretty damn good album though. It's difficult to say, but yeah, I would offer that one up as a song which you don't really hear talked about too often. Okay, next up is The Smiths, and again with The Smiths it's like, well, how can I really say that something what's not There Is a Light That Never Goes Out, or Not This Charming Man, like is my favourite Smiths song, but I am going to offer this one up as definitely among my favourites. If I was to do a top 10 list, I think this one would make it, and would probably make it quite high. So it's I Don't Owe You Anything. Second to last track on this album, and it's a slow song. It's a Smiths ballad basically. Like they'd often do these tracks which were kind of quite like they took their time kind of thing, but it's a great song. I love particularly Johnny Marr's guitar on this. Like the chords he plays are all they're just beautiful. It's a good one. I play guitar myself, and it's a good one to play this like on guitar. They're just very satisfying chords, I think. And then the way it kind of meanders around the melody, and these kind of runs like that kind of like that bit like he plays like I think it's in the chorus where it goes like duh, 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 and it's just fantastic. And yeah, again, Morrissey does a brilliant vocal, sung with passion, and I really rate it. So yeah, definitely my favourite like on this album for sure. I would say. Okay, next up I'm going to offer up is Echo and the Bunnymen and this track Crystal Days. probably my favourite Echo and the Bunnymen song, I have to say. It was one of the first ones which I really got into off theirs, because this was my uncle's old copy of Ocean Rain, and I remember playing the first side, and then Silver was good. Nocturnal Me was maybe a bit iffy on like at the time, but then Crystal Days came on. I was like, wow, this is amazing, you know. Very awesome guitar on it, brilliant string arrangement. It's just an incredible song, and I think should have been a single. Like, you know, like it certainly has. Well, for me anyway, it has kind of hit single written like all over it. Like, to like be honest with you. So yeah, Crystal Days, real favourite of mine, and again, it's not one which often gets talked about. Okay, next up is by Paul Simon. So we're going for the track Learn How to Fall.
You got to drift in the breeze.
From the There Goes Rhyming Simon album here. So this is a very nice laid-back kind of song, which has always been a favourite of mine, of Paul Simon's 70s career. I mean, the 80s, I mean, there is an argument that, say, Graceland might be my all-time favourite, but I think, you know, this song is a really great recording. It's very laid back, nice kind of verses, and nice lyrics on it as well, about kind of, not being afraid to kind of fail, like, you know, and kind of, like, you've got to go through failure, like, in order to, like, achieve success and kind of become a kind of better person now. So I do like the sentiment, like, of, like, the song. I like the arrangement on it, the kind of soft guitar, like, on the verses, and then these kind of horns which come in, like, in, like, the middle, and then, again, some really nice, I think it's some slide guitar work on it, like, as well, also like a kind of pedal steel guitar. It's just brilliant, and again, a real hidden gem, like, off like the Paul Simon songbook, and definitely a candidate for my favourite Paul Simon song. Next up, I wasn't quite sure if this really fitted the bill, because it's probably from this artist, certainly one of their top 10 albums, I think, is generally kind of thought of. So it's from Elvis Costello's My Aim Is True, and it's the second track on this album, Miracle Man. Which are going for, like, as a contender for my favourite Elvis Costello song, including all the stuff he did, like, with, like, the attractions, like, of course. For me, in my mind anyway, I always think of this and Welcome to the Working Week, the Eminent Track, like, as a pair, you know. You're like, you know, whenever I listen to Welcome to the Working Week, I always want to hear Miracle Man, kind of like straight after it. It's just a brilliant performance, like, from Costello, vocally, so much passion in there, and in terms of the musical arrangement on it as well, on this album he's using the group Clover, who, again, a very different sound to, like, the attractions, and there's kind of, I forget who the guitarist's name is, but he does some brilliant licks, like, throughout this song, and it's just excellent, like, musicianship, and it's definitely, for me, one of my favourite, like, Elvis Costello songs. I take this over Pump It Up, I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea, like, any of his kind of classic singles any day, personally. So Miracle Man would be my next one. Okay, got a few more to go now. So next one up is probably one of the first ones I thought of when I thought of, like, this idea, like, of, okay, a favourite song which is not, like, well known, like, at all. And again, it's by a band who I'm a fan of theirs, certainly, but I'm not the biggest fan, like, in the world, like, by any means. So I go for Fleetwood Mac, and I go for the song Walk a Thin Line.
No one said nothing.
Which is definitely one of my stranger choices. I think really fits the bill, for this video. It's a very moody kind of Lindsey Buckingham song, which I always like. The melody on this it's a very moody. The production's got this echo on it. It's a very unique production, like, on this one here, with this kind of you kind of got a kind of wall of sound, kind of backing vocals on it, but then a kind of very raw kind of it's got a very particular drum sound there, so I can't quite put my finger on it, but it just sounds great, and it, for me, is a song I prefer to hear over, say, some of the more overproduced like Lindsey Buckingham tracks, and any other, like, off, like, the kind of, like, the Fleetwood Mac kind of sort of classic singles, which are maybe a little bit, like, overplayed for me. Walk a Thin Line always has remained really fresh, and definitely one of my favourites there. So that is my next choice. Okay, next one, you might think I've lost my marbles a little bit picking this one here, but this is genuinely one of my favourite Kinks songs. It's from the Preservation Act 1 album, and it's Sweet Lady Genevieve.
So when you come back to me, sweet.
So again, again with this, I'm not saying this is better than Waterloo Sunset or Days or any of their kind of classic singles, but it would certainly for me rank up there. And I think it's just the fact that it is from this period, like in like the Kinks' career, where they'd really lost their way, you know, like they were kind of doing these extravagant kind of concept albums and literally no one was listening, you know, like they were all flops and all these singles were flops. I think this was actually a single and like it did nothing. But Sweet Lady Genevieve it's a mid-tempo acoustic song in a kind of semi-similar style to Lola. And it's not a kind of carbon copy like something like 8 Man is, but it's got this kind of sort of nice kind of country rock kind of feel to it, and kind of basically about kind of pleading for like this like pleading to like his like sort of like an ex-partner or something, like to kind of like come back, like will you come back and see Sweet Lady Genevieve, that I'm not the kind of fool that I used to be, like those kind of like lyrics and that. But it's really good, and I think again it's got a good structure to it as well, nice backing vocals on it, just a really well arranged song, and yeah, just again a real hidden gem like in like the Kinks like catalogue there. So Sweet Lady Genevieve, definitely a candidate, I would say, for my favourite Kinks song, although I'd probably have to be reasonable and probably put it maybe say 4th or 5th. Yeah, like I'm not being like that brave to say that this is better than some of like their yeah, absolute classic 60s material. Okay, the last one I'm going to offer up is probably among the most obscure ones which I'm going to show in terms of how deep this actually is in the artist's like discography, because this is actually like an unreleased song. And again, I could have gone with a couple for the wonderful Tom Petty, because he's got such a rich back catalogue almost like of unreleased songs. So for me it was between what's it called? Forgot the title now. Keeping Me Alive. That could be my favourite Tom Petty song, but what I'm actually going to go for is from this Wildflowers Deluxe box set, and it's the track There's a Break in the Rain. Which is a really, really nice little, it's essentially like an acoustic demo he did, like around the time I got off, like the Wildflowers album, but it's just so beautiful, this song here. It's simple, with really hopeful lyrics about, yeah, like there's a break in the rain, I'm gonna go outside and sit in the sunshine for a while and that, and then it's kind of very interesting, this song as well, because he would kind of repurpose bits of it for various other songs, like kind of like both on the Wildflowers album and then beyond as well. But I think this just really works as one whole song. It doesn't feel like, well, I guess on first listen it was a bit like, oh hang on, that's the chorus from, I think there's a track called Have Love Will Travel, which is essentially like the chorus like of like this song here. But then because I've listened to this version so much, it just feels natural, and it feels you just kind of think, gosh, he must have he had so many brilliant songs that he could afford to kind of just leave this one like on the shelf and then kind of cut it up into and sort of repurpose various bits of it, but no, it's a really lovely song, and yeah, definitely for me a candidate for my favourite song by Tom Petty. So yes, I hope you have enjoyed that video there. I will link to James's original video in the description so you can watch that and kind of get an idea of like what some of his picks were. But no, it was a great idea for a video, so yeah, thanks James for coming up with it, and I will yeah, be interested to know what some of your favourites songs are by various artists, and what might not be the ones that people expect you to like. So yeah, I'll close off now, so I hope you have enjoyed, and yes, I'll see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.